Better Preach, episode 106. What do you do when things go wrong? Welcome to Better Preach, a podcast for Catholic leaders on developing and delivering great Catholic talks. I'm your host, Ryan O'Hara, a Catholic speaker who specializes in parish missions and parish retreats. And I'm so excited to join you on your journey of communicating the true, the good, and the beautiful. When you're giving a talk, there are many things that can go wrong, apart from anything related to your content, your preparation, or your delivery. What do you do when the microphone fails, or the video glitches, or the PowerPoint dies? How do you react when no one shows up to your talk, or teenagers, they just won't stop looking at their phones? In this conversation with my trusty occasional co-host, Connor Flanagan, we dig into each of these questions. Things will go wrong. You can bank on it. But the bigger question is, how will you respond? There's a lot more, in fact, riding on this response than you might think. Before we start, be sure to stop by and say hi on Instagram at Better Preach. I'd love to connect. And check it out. I've kind of made some changes to the studio here. I've been doing this each week with a few more things. Check it out on YouTube. But you won't really see it. You got to see it in the intro, just in the intro part. That's when you see the studio. I'm actually in Connor's studio when we recorded this episode, so you can check that out too. All right, let's get into it.
Better Preach. Welcome back. Dude, holding the mic, for those of you who are not watching this podcast, I'm just holding the mic like a boss.
I love it. We need it.
So today,
Yes.
we're getting into all the unknowns of giving talks.
Yeah, when things go wrong,
Which they do.
and they will.
And I'm excited about this because, man, if the little bit that we've chatted about this episode, this is my life.
Yeah, and again, if people don't know, please go check out ConnorFlanaganMusic.com. All the socials, IG, other places. Connor is a Catholic hip hop artist. A new album is coming out soon.
Let's go.
And you guys, I just heard a lot of the tracks on the album today in the studio here. Fantastic work. So if you don't know Connor, follow Connor. Hit him up on Spotify, however you do that. Am I talking about it in the right way?
Yeah. Follow on Spotify.
Follow on Spotify.
Yeah.
Anyway, you do an incredible live show. And,
Thank you.
and as an independent kind of indie artist,
Yeah.
on smaller stages at bigger festivals or in church basements, or
baby.
like school gyms,
Yeah.
like those have been your homes
Yeah.
for the last 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And stuff can go wonky.
Dude, all the time.
And if it's me, again, I'm not on big stages at big conferences. Stuff goes wonky in church basements, in, school gyms,
Dude.
and, the sound system in the church, whatever.
Yeah.
Stuff goes crazy.
All the time.
Yeah. And so I wanted to talk with you. What do we do? Stuff will go wrong, and how we handle that will make a big difference in the experience. There's sort of three categories that I would use. These sort of common things that break. There's all these AV issues. I want to dig into what we do when different things like that go wrong.
Yep.
Microphone, PowerPoint, video, whatever. Or when you show up and it's the venue or the people who are there or the event isn't exactly what you expected.
Yeah.
But you still have to deliver.
Right.
And then finally, just your everyday disruptions. So we'll get into those in just a minute.
Yeah.
But what story comes to mind, whether it was equipment breaking, the venue and the experience not being what you expected, or there were disruptions? What's a story that comes to mind for you?
Oh man, I mean, there's so many, even from this weekend. Just a funny one from this weekend. We were just out in Maine playing some shows, and we headlined this church basement, baby.
There you go.
Big time church basement show. And I mean, the people who put it on, this is what I run into often, and my guess is this is probably the case for a lot of events that speakers are at, is they're awesome people who aren't professional event planners.
Sure.
And they don't have teams.
And that's all okay, and
that's all
is
okay.
what it is,
Yeah.
but that is the reality.
That's the reality. So you have to have that expectation going in, right? It's like, these are incredible people on an awesome mission. I'm honored they're bringing me in. I'm there to elevate their thing, even though it's my show.
Yep.
I'm there to elevate their community and their parish life
Right.
and their ministry, right? So if I become a distraction from that, then I'm the problem. So if they don't have a good sound system and I make them feel worse about it, then I'm the problem. It's not the sound system anymore, right? And so we were going back and forth about this show in this church basement. I just said yes to it, and I was like, whatever happens, I can always just play the show with my guitar. And they knew that. I was like, you know what? If for some reason I get there and the sound system isn't working or it's not what we needed to run full tracks and drums and DJ and all that, I'll just pull out my acoustic and I'll do like an acoustic coffee house type night, and it'll be great. So that was kind of the bare minimum for me.
Yep.
Well, we get there, and this community, they went far and wide to get speakers and a sub and a drum set and all of this stuff. And you know what? It was like pulled from the local bar and from the local school music room, and like it worked. It wouldn't be my first pick by any means, or maybe in the top 5 picks, but it worked. And again, there was something so honoring about their effort. They wanted to host us so bad. To me, it was enough for me to put my show on. So we start the show, and this is just a hilarious, like, kind of when you're just shocked out of your head about like what's happening during the show. We finish the first 2 songs. In my set, we kind of have sections, and the first 4 songs just go like this. They just flow, right? Before I even start talking to the audience, just to get people engaged. And we finish the first 2. The intro starts for song number 3, and this old lady in the front row. There's like 100 people in this church basement, so it feels pretty packed, which is fun. In this heavy Boston accent, she just walks real up close up to the front of the stage. It was a low stage, so she was kind of in my face, down to the left. And she goes, and there behind me, for context, there's a big painting of Jesus, like this big, beautiful, artistic image of Jesus. And the third song is starting, and she just comes up with her phone. She goes, "Move back so I can get you a picture with Jesus."
Of course.
And I'm like, in my mind, I just like, my life stopped. And I almost stopped the show. I was like, the boldness you have. And I am edified by your courage.
Amen.
To look at me and say, "Move over so I can get you a picture with Jesus," you know? And I'm like, it sounded like, I mean, it was, and I just, like, so many things went, I wasn't even upset. I was astounded. I was like, what? Oh. Like, who does that at a concert, you know?
Yes.
But it was also like endearing. Like, she felt comfortable to do that. So anyways, I looked at her like totally stunned, but then the track was starting behind me. So I just like started this song. I didn't even pay attention to it. I just had to move on. And that was the end of it. But it was just like, it shocked me out of my system to the point like, whoa, like total like blindside. But again, I was like, I was like, what? Nope. Like, that's an audience, and this is what I'm doing, and I got to like push through. So anyways, that was this weekend, which was just a hilarious.
Did you ever touch base with her? Did you ever step back and ask her to take a selfie with?
No, I didn't. But man, it was great.
But again, that's not going to happen when you're on a stage with 10,000 people in the crowd. For so many folks who are listening to this podcast, you are in church basements. You're in church sanctuaries. There's 100 people in
Parish
the room.
Hall,
hall. And you'll have all sorts of things that can happen and that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And so much of it has to do with making really quick decisions in the moment.
Yeah.
You probably could have gone either way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What would it have looked? Well, okay, let me ask you this. Did you make the right decision to not stop the show?
100%. Yeah, I did. Yeah. If I were to stop the show, I would have made it a bit, right? And so you make it feel intentional. You don't make it look like you're interrupted.
No, right.
So I would have like been like, hold up. And I'd be like, here's one of my favorite things about playing church basements.
Yes.
Is like you get to know the people.
Yeah.
In Charlotte, right here in the front row, I've never had someone just walk up in the middle of a song and feel comfortable enough to get a picture. So you know what? We're doing it right now. So it would have been like this moment, and then people will talk about the moment. And I think it's same like talks, performances, all of it. It's only awkward if you as a performer make it awkward.
Yeah.
Like when people show up to listen to you or hear you, they're showing up ready to be taken somewhere.
Yep.
Right? Like they've seen the event advertised, they've heard what you're going to speak about, they have shown up to be educated and to be taught something and to be taken somewhere.
Yep.
And if you don't take them somewhere, or you make that somewhere awkward, or like, that's on you. From the moment they sit down in that room, it's on you to control the narrative of their experience.
Yeah.
You know? And so no matter what comes, whether there's an emergency in the room, and I know we're going to get into a few scenarios, or if there's a power outage or a speaker blows or your guitar's out of tune or your mic stops working, like, it's on you and the confidence with which you have as a speaker to control how that is then presented to the people in front of you. And I think that's way easier when you hold it all loose, when you see it like, this isn't about me.
Right. But you know, when it happens the first time, the second time, the third time, and you're not ready for it, you haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
Perhaps I think our worst selves come out.
Oh yeah.
There's anger, there's frustration, there's shaming, there's all sorts of reactions that we might have that aren't helpful, that are understandable, but just not helpful.
Yeah.
And I think you've done enough shows, I've given enough talks, that if you handle it confidently, no one will ever think another thing of whatever decision you made, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But if you handle it poorly, that just sort of embeds this image.
Totally.
You know.
It's bad for everybody. It's bad for you as a presenter. I think it's worse for the parish, right? Because you come and go. You may not go back to that church for 2 years.
Right.
Every speaker I know is tied into some sort of ministry or has come from some sort of ministry. Yeah. So like, imagine what, like a blow like that, what it would do to your ministry. Yeah. You break a lot of trust with people. If that speaker handles something poorly, then the ministry takes the brunt of that. So yeah, I think it's so important to handle it with grace and confidence and treat everything like it's intentional and roll with it.
Yeah.
And see it as a challenge. Yeah. You know?
Let's dig into it. I think the most common thing, maybe even in your world too, is that the electronic stuff isn't working right.
Yep.
And I don't know how many times the microphone hasn't worked for me as a presenter. What would be your advice to a speaker like me when something like that happens? Assuming it's a room that needs to be amplified.
Yeah.
Like you need a microphone to speak to these 150 people.
Yeah. There's probably two things I would do. One, in preparation, I would always have a fail-safe kind of like get out of jail free card piece of content that you could use at any point in your talk. So let's say the microphone goes out. Then it's like, I have these two questions that I could immediately say, hey, we're going to put on some soft music while we fix this tech issue with the microphone. And we're talking about this topic right now. I want you to turn to your neighbor and for 4 minutes, answer these two questions.
Nice.
Right? So just have that. Like have 2 questions, 3 questions, or a scripture challenge or some sort of nugget that you can just pull out of your back pocket, regardless of almost the topic or where you're at, and say, hey, we're going to put on some music. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just have silent time and like give them, like, and make it so it feels like this is intentional. I think having an activity like that is even way different. Be like, oh, just take some time in quiet while we fix this issue. Everyone's going to watch you fix the issue, you know?
Right.
So making it feel like it's an intentional pivot is one thing. And then 2, if like the microphones never come back on and you're like, this is actually bad, then you got to just figure out how to still get the message to the people. So if it's me, I'm just walking out into the people.
Yep.
Like go out get off the stage. If there's a stage, go into the middle of the room and just talk from the middle of the room.
Where people have the best chance at hearing you.
Yeah. And do it as seamless as possible. Don't pick up a heavy podium and drag it behind you. Like at this point, all bets are off.
Yep.
You're just like, we have to finish this talk gracefully, impactfully, prayerfully. And so you're just going to, given the circumstances now, like, how are you going to finish the talk?
Yep.
And maybe that's, you have to pivot completely.
Yep.
And you leave your notes behind and you just start telling a testimony, or I don't know, but what could you do? It's like when an artist pulls out their guitar. I mean, I've seen artists in major venues lose power and they step off the stage, come into the people, and they just say, we're going to sing this whole song acoustic across this whole room.
Yeah.
And people talk about that for years.
Sure. I think that's a great idea. I think there is for me, what I generally see happen is the mic goes out. And for me, and I think maybe I'm just used to doing this, I have a strong enough, loud enough voice that for the next 2 minutes, I can project usually loud enough to be able to fill the space while hopefully somebody comes up and switches out the mic.
Yeah.
And I think one of the main things you always want to do is ask, what's the backup plan for the mic? Because batteries on a lapel is usually where things fail.
Yeah.
Batteries on a handheld, batteries on a lapel.
Yeah.
And so making sure that the batteries are charged and making sure that, hey, is there a backup option if the mic fails?
Yeah.
And if it fails, who will you bring it? Will you bring it to me?
Yeah.
You know. But I love the idea that not everyone has the confidence or maybe the voice to be able to fill a room, but that you've got an idea of what's natural. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. How is there a question that you could ask?
Yeah.
In case something like that happens? That's an awesome workaround.
People match your energy.
Yep.
Right? Like people in the room will follow where you lead and will match your level of energy. So it's such a bad look if you're pointing the blame off. Like if and there's a natural tendency to do that when you're in front of people, to be like, oh, well, I can't believe this isn't working right now, but like whatever, you know, like any of that, like that's just such a bad look for you as a speaker and performer, that it's like the more gracefully you handle it, the more gracefully the people will take it in stride.
Yep.
You know, and the less they'll remember and even notice it.
Well, and like usually there's somebody there in charge who knows how to run the system.
Yeah.
And there is nothing worse for them.
They feel all bad already.
In that moment, it's just this scrambling.
Yeah.
You know, and so how can we help them feel at home? So the microphone not working, that's classic.
Classic.
So having a plan for a backup, thinking about batteries, having a plan if there's no microphone.
Yeah.
And then what can you do? Can you fill the space or not? And then what do you do with that? The next thing that happens so often is the video doesn't play. I mean, how many times have you seen that?
Oh, tons. And you're all standing there looking at the screen like, what's going to happen?
In our day and age, like we just expect video to work. It's not it's not at all magic that this video is playing.
Right.
So we're not impressed at all. But there's about 7 to 10 seconds, you know, that an audience is. What would you say the rule of thumb for either a video that plays without audio or doesn't play? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the video and how pertinent it is to your message. I mean, if a video plays without audio and you think the visuals still capture something, maybe let it run. Like,
maybe it's just maybe there's just music.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, like I don't know if your video can hang without audio, then I would say let it run and just like deal with it. Like it's not ideal, just deal with it. If your video's not playing, you know, I think you give it, like you said, 7 to 10 seconds, and then I think you just move on.
Yep.
Because any more than that, it becomes a distraction. Even if they say, "Oh, we got the video now," like I'm past that. Like I've already made the shift in my mind as to how, whether you realize it or not, subliminally, I think there's already a shift that happens of like I got to land this plane differently.
Yep.
And so, like, just keep going. It becomes too much of a distraction because honestly, maybe they don't actually have it now. So you set yourself up for like a second level of failure.
Yep.
And your talk shouldn't need it.
Yep. Again, having a plan. I think this is really helpful to like build in contingencies for if the mics don't work, the video doesn't play, the PowerPoint goes wonky.
Yep.
What are you going to do? And being in conversation, good communication with the people running things to let them know.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me you've got it. If it doesn't play the first time and I move on, let's just move on.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
That is really wise. I have seen so many times trying to play it, never plays.
Yeah.
We end up having to move on anyway.
Yeah.
It would have just been best to do it. It also helps to go ahead and practice ahead of time.
Yeah.
Just double check. Now, again, it can still fail.
Right.
But probably you didn't double check that the whole system is working.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
Yeah. What about when the PowerPoint isn't working?
Yeah.
And you're kind of looking at it.
Yeah.
And kind of expecting it to go. What do you do when I've had times too where the PowerPoint slides, again, we've talked about this, they don't match what I'm expecting them to be. Like the fonts are different or something.
Like something happened between when you submitted them into when they made them on the screen.
And they're up on the screen. And I know I have had to bite my tongue because I'm looking at that going, oh, I worked really hard on making sure it didn't do that. And that's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. But those thoughts literally go through my head.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about the fact that I tend to ignore the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I give my talk. I'm about 10% of the time I actually look at the slides because it's something that I particularly want to point out.
Yeah.
And only about 10% of those times is it off.
Right.
And even if it is, I roll with it or whatever. That's how I've dealt with sort of PowerPoint issues.
Yeah, same. I think you keep your head down and you keep moving, and maybe even say like, hey, you know what? Like, we're just going to finish this talk without the slides.
Yep.
And you haven't put up the placeholder graphic or whatever.
Yep.
But like the again, with confidence and grace and charity, and make it feel like it's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Like you just have to. And then you have a conversation with them afterwards and you can try to figure it out. But I would say 9 out of 10 times, like 10 out of 10, I've never been successful calling out a problem from the stage. Never, right?
Never.
And the people...
Or showing frustration.
Or showing frustration. Yeah.
Or like, oh, that was a really good slide. Or, oh, that video was going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not helpful.
It is not helpful. And,
not helpful.
And honestly, the people behind the scenes, like you've already said, are already trying to race to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
the other thing I've seen, I have not spoken on many, what I would call big stages, but the first time that I did, the biggest thing I was not ready for was that the lighting was so bright in my eyes. That was a huge kind of shift.
Where you can't like see the people.
Right. And in that case, you have two options. You either act like you just act normal.
Yeah.
The thing that I would recommend doing is, again, not drawing attention to it. I have seen presenters sort of shield their eyes from the light
as they like look up in the balcony, like who's up there,
right? Or literally just like, this is how they're going to start the talk. And I go, we actually, the lights help us see you.
Yeah.
You, from our perspective, you look great.
Yeah.
It's just one of those kind of, I'd call it kind of a rookie move. I remember having never experienced that.
Yeah.
And wasn't prepped for it, and went out on stage, and it was a shocker.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I commented on it or not. That's one of those things that if you're not ready for, can be quite difficult.
Yeah. I mean, anything like that, when you, especially at the beginning of a presentation, a show, a talk, whatever it is, like, if you haven't practiced, or if something is a little different from when you practice, you have to trust that the sound people, especially in a big event like that, where there are going to be lights, like they're going to have a team that's working with you and working with sound. You have to trust that they're going to handle it if there's an issue. But like, getting out there, be like, oh, is this thing on? Or like, oh, that sounds really echoey. Can you hear me? Or like, wow, this is really loud, louder than I thought. Like any of those kinds of things immediately just tell me that you're not a professional.
Right.
Like if I'm in the shielding of the eyes and bright light,
tapping the mic.
Yeah. And I think it's actually and maybe this is a whole nother episode, but I think it's an underrated part of presenting. A good part of presenting is acting.
Yep.
Like you have to pretend you can see the people.
Yep.
Like actually, like I have played big events where I can't see the audience.
Yep.
And I have to look up to acknowledge that there's people on a balcony watching my show. I can't see them.
Yep.
But I still go like, how we doing up top?
Right.
And I point the microphone up there and I call them out. I can't see a dang thing.
Yep. Yep.
And you're acting like, and you have to pretend like you can see them perfectly. And when you have long pauses in your talk, look at the bright lights. Mm-hmm. So whoever's on the other side of that bright light feels like you're looking into their heart,
From their perspective, everything's great.
It's perfect.
Right. It appears, and you are looking at them, there's just a light in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. This first one's just the most common kind of AV challenges people are going to see. Yeah. The next I want to get into is the event or the venue or the crowd is not what you were expecting. There's a different size crowd, usually a smaller crowd. The room isn't sort of set up in an ideal way. The demographics of the group are different. You were expecting an MC.
Yep.
There's not. an MC. It's sort of on you to make it go from soup to nuts. I'll give you an example. I showed up to an event in rural Wisconsin, and it was a talk on parenting. And I thought it was going to be generally a crowd of mostly young parents.
Yeah.
But it was a crowd of many grandparents. And I had a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was I going to give the talk that I planned on
Yeah.
that, could relate to where they were, or was I going to shift?
Yeah.
And I had about 30 minutes to make some pretty serious shifts, in the talk. And I think that was the right move. While at the same time, I didn't entirely move away from the thing, but I had to make some important adjustments because it just would have been odd not to.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I could have done that, but it was kind of a tough spot to be put in. What's been your experience when you show up and things just aren't quite what you imagined about kind of who's there or the purpose of the event? What do we do?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a running joke with me and my band and anyone I've traveled with that we usually get 20% of what people promise us.
20%.
Yeah. So if people are like, oh, we're thinking we're going to have 100 people, we'll get 20.
Interesting.
And it's wildly accurate because people don't know. They think their event is the next best thing.
Yeah.
And they're excited about bringing us in, but I'm also not a celebrity, right? So I don't have
same
brand name power
in
to draw ticket sales yet, right? You have to do a lot of work. You can't just put some flyers up in your church to get people to an event.
Yeah.
You have to invite them and build a list. And this event we just played in Maine, they literally had a guest list. If you want to come, you have to have your name on this list. So there was a call to action. So for, hilariously enough, they were we're going to have 150. So Patrick and I were like, oh boy, we're going to have 30 people over there. And they had just over 100.
Okay.
And so it was awesome. And it was because they put in so much work to invite people.
Yeah.
They were driving through the streets of the neighborhood of the church, inviting people who they saw walking around.
Yeah.
But so we oftentimes walk into places where we're bringing a big full on night of hip hop, and those nights usually go better with lots of people.
Yep.
And when they're not,
the
age old story for me is we played a church for a middle school youth group event, and they promised us 500 kids.
Yep.
They were partnering with other local parishes, promised us 500 kids. I was like, sweet. So we brought the whole thing, the whole show, lights, sound, whatever. Brought a drummer. Don't always bring a drummer. So it was 3 of us, DJ, drummer, myself. We set up, show starts at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and there's 3 people there. And then
Did you say 3?
Yeah, so then I'm sitting backstage, and my DJ comes back. He walks out to check. He's like, hey man, when were we supposed to start the show? I'm like now. He's like, well, maybe we should wait a little bit. Let's a few more people come. We're like, okay. We're waiting, and Josh is like, I'm going to go out and DJ for a little bit until some more people show up. So we're pushing it 30 minutes, 45 minutes past when the show is supposed to start. And we're like, okay, we just need to start this show. And I walk out, and there's 17 people in this huge gymnasium. Gosh. And it was 10 middle schoolers and then some chaperones in this massive gym. And we're on this stage.
Brutal.
And I have my whole lighting rig behind me, the whole thing. And you just have a choice. You can and I got paid a really good amount to be there.
Sure.
I got paid my full band rate. My show is not determined by who shows up.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Right. And the quality of your talk should never be determined by who comes to listen.
Right.
So I was like, well, we just they will match our energy. So if I give them a show, and this is how I perform every show. There's 10,000 people in the audience.
Yep.
And it was a blast. And I just was really intentional. Even during that show, because the audience was so small, and I think the middle schoolers felt awkward that there wasn't a big audience. They were on their phones a ton.
Sure.
And so I've never done this before, but I stopped the show and I collected their phones.
You did?
Yep. I was because it was kind of getting absurd. There's one thing of being a performer and just dealing with things in the audience.
Sure. Yeah.
But this was all of them right in front of me. They were the only people in the gym. We're just taking selfies on Snapchat the whole show.
Yeah.
And so 4 songs in, I was like, hey, I can't party without y'all. I made it a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want you guys all to put your phones right here, and I promise after the show we can all take pictures together. So they did, and then we partied. The rest of the show, we had an absolute blast.
Oh, I love how you said that. I can't party without you guys. Like,
Yeah.
again, not shaming.
No.
That's fantastic.
So, but it takes a ton of courage. Like,
Yeah.
I get so insecure still
Yeah.
in those moments. Like right before we walk out, it's
Yeah.
like, who's out there?
Yeah.
What are they waiting for? What are they going to
Yes.
think of this? Man, it's not the audience I thought I was going to have.
I have so many times sat in the front row, usually kind of praying and waiting for, things to begin. And sometimes I'm scared to look behind me.
Right,
You're like,
right.
has anybody showed up? and invariably people, they don't get there early. They
Yeah.
come right as you're starting and in the first 5 minutes. And then usually as you get going, things kind of fill out. But it is this moment of like, what, Lord, why does it matter?
Right.
Why does it matter? Yes, there's going to be, for a talk is even easier than a concert.
Totally. Yeah, yeah.
Like it'd be much easier to talk to 17 people if you were planning on talking to 500. You're still talking to a group of people.
Yeah, you treat it like a small group.
Right.
Break it down.
So, I think speakers have even, less reason to adjust. But that's what you described is I'm here, unless it's 3 or 4 people, and that does feel like a small group discussion.
Yeah.
Generally, we don't get down to that kind of number.
Yeah.
But that would be the only time that you might really.
Yeah,
pivot.
but even like think about it. When you're at a concert, let's say you're front row.
Yeah.
At an arena concert.
Yeah.
Right. 15,000 people, and you're in the front row.
Yep.
You're never looking at the people behind you.
Yep.
You may turn around, but like
Yeah.
ideally, you are seeing the show through your eyes,
Right.
and your eyes only.
That's right.
And so, in some senses, you're the only person in the room.
Yep.
When you think about it.
Yep.
And so, for that performer who's getting paid a lot of money, like for me, I got paid a full rate to be at this middle school show. For me to dictate the product I deliver based on who shows up is totally a distorted way to approach the craft.
Yeah, and there's a certain egoism.
100%.
That's
I'm
involved.
only worth it for X number of people.
Right.
And so that's why I'm so committed, because like whether there's 15,000 people in the room or 5, they all view the show through their own set of eyes.
That's right.
And so they need to see a 15,000 person caliber show,
Yeah.
even in a church basement.
Yep. I love that. And I think there is so much comes through our body language, so much comes through even our commentary. This is why I always work on I have how I start a talk sort of scripted out. And I guarantee it never involves making some side comments about the number of people in the room. Right. That's the other thing that really helps me too.
Yeah.
Is I'm generally pretty excited about where we're going, what we're talking about. And I'm like, once I get in, I don't care, even though I know, if I'm honest with myself, there's some egoism in there. There's a sense of like, I was hoping for something.
Of course.
And that's all the real kind of human stuff. If you have a plan and if you're excited about where you're starting and where you're going, that has really helped me to get through some of those things that when you show up, it isn't quite right. In this part where there's maybe some things in your control, there's some discernment that's needed.
Yeah.
If you adjust things, or not.
Yeah. Well, and I just think all of those moments where we've had to pivot are my favorite moments.
Yeah.
Like I have so many incredible stories about these tiny shows, the amazing people we met, how much it meant to them that we still came. Because for as much as you may be bummed, they're infinitely more bummed that people didn't show up to their event. Totally. And so like the most important thing you can do, I would even say over delivering a great talk, is like love the people hosting it.
Yes.
At 10 out of 10 times. Like I would actually prefer my talk be subpar.
Yeah.
And the people hosting it felt built up
and
poured into and loved on, so they would do it again the next time.
Yeah. Amen. The last thing that inevitably happens has to do with the disruptions that you may experience during a show.
Move over so I can take the picture with Jesus.
Or it's the teenagers with the cell phones. That's a great example. I have had so many times where you're speaking to, again, it tends to be a younger audience, and they're not engaged, and they might even be distracting. It's one thing if there's just a few of them kind of talking in the back or whatever, or they're talking in the front, but nobody else seems to. But when it kind of builds momentum and it moves to the more like the majority of the crowd is not with you, What do we do in those situations?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a performer, a presenter, like being in front of people, you're in real time collecting data and like processing it, right?
Yep.
Like of what's happening. I remember even being in ministry, Wednesday night middle school youth group. It was like I'm trying to give a talk, but I'm also trying to like build analytics in my head as to like what's happening in the room with the kids and who's talking and at what level are they being disruptive and at what level do you cut it off and whatnot. But for me, I have to try to turn a little bit of that off as a performer. Like I'm not a youth minister anymore. So if I'm performing for a youth group and they're not paying attention, that's really not my fault. Like there's other leaders in the room that will take care of it. So there's that level of like, I have to turn that side of my brain off sometimes to be like, I'm a professional performer and there's a good portion of people who love this. And those who are being disruptive, like the youth minister or pastor or someone will come in and like deal with it, you know? Now I have had times where I've had to like stop the show because it was like getting actually crazy. And they were clearly not listening to their, like I played a high school show and they were having so much fun because I'm bringing trap music to like the middle of a school day, right? So they were just getting totally bouncing off the walls to the point where it was kind of getting out of control. And they kept telling them to calm down. They weren't listening. So I just stopped a song and I said, look, like I'm having a blast. I want to keep this show going. I came to do this for y'all, but if you don't listen to your teachers, I'm going to stop. And that was like, it changed everything, you know? So, because you have that authority and power, especially as a musician, they're looking at you as like the guy.
Yep.
And so that helped. You can't always do that, but sometimes just kind of that stark shift of like, we're not messing around in a high school setting could really help.
And again, whether it's performing a song or it's delivering a talk, it's not like you get a break to go think about what it is you want to say.
Yeah, you just got
You have to be doing your thing and at the same time thinking of what you might say.
Right.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's super hard to do.
It's so hard.
And yet how that gets said and how you treat those disruptions speak volumes. And you've given some great examples of just how carefully you attend to these, real distractions, real disruptions. There's so many youth ministers, listening here and others who are speaking to younger audiences.
Yeah.
There's never been a harder group of humans to speak to. Yeah. But it seems to me there's compassion, there's being direct.
Yep.
And kind of keeping the big picture in mind and kind of bringing them into kind of helping to solve the problem.
Yeah, and I think too, like figuring out ways to shift the atmosphere. Yeah. But staying within what you're doing, right? Yeah. So like to me, I had that for that song, I like stopped, which is not ideal, right? Like I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to get like authority figure, but like when I was in youth ministry and there'd be like middle schoolers fooling around in the back, or really being disruptive, I'm like, well, they just want attention. So you're like in real time, I'm like, okay, so they just want attention. And so I would be like, hey, whatever, Chris, come up here. Yep. This would not be planned, but I would just be like, hey, Chris, come up here. I want you to hold my Bible for me. Yep. So he holds it. And then I'm like, all right, I want you to open. So I just make it a thing. Like we're, even if it wasn't planned, but if the talk is on some specific Christian scripture, it's like, okay, open up to that, find it. How long does it take for you to find it? Yep. And then it becomes this thing. Yep. Or another thing that I love with talks that I think gets energy out of people is doing a lot of call and response. So like the last couple talks I've been giving, like the talks have been broken up into sections. And if there's a theme with the section, I'll just say like, courage, say courage. Everyone yells courage. No, say it louder, courage. Then you give that section of the talk. And then same thing for the next one. And I've actually found that as being a good way to like, if I see a crowd getting antsy, high schoolers like fooling around, getting them to just say something out loud, kind of like gets them back in the space.
I love that. That's excellent. I love it. Sincerity, professionalism, confidence, joy, holding things loosely, expecting things to go wrong, not being surprised, not being frustrated. And I also think, again, imagining what things could go wrong and what will I do if they do, especially around, mics and screens and videos and so on, and being in good communication with the venue really helps. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Till next time.
Let's do it.
Peace.
Peace. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the show. Please do reach out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave a rating and written review, or reach out to me directly, ryanohara.org/betterpreach. There's a little contact form there. It sends me an email. It makes my day. Would love to hear your thoughts about the show. You have millions of choices when you listen to podcasts. Thanks for pressing play today. See you next time.